Okay, so today we're talking about attachments. Um, the reason why we're talking about attachments is I want to use this as a theme for the week. We've gone through, the memory of life, the world doesn't fit, finding yourself. Um, and the process of finding yourself is to constantly being reborn. You're in charge of that. Other people can interact with you, other situations can interact with that. But the effort you put in on highlighting things about how you value yourself towards others, how you accept your own failures, how you get over the fear of that, how you manage your goals. These are all things we've touched on the last few weeks. The attachment that you cling on to in your past is necessary for lessons, but you can't be living in that, because if you're living in that, you don't allow space for a new worldview to come into play. Now, as I discussed this week, just touching on this, you have to remember that there's the past, the present, the future, right? And in order to get the future, to bring that into yourself and create a new version of you, you must let go of past things. So reminding yourself that you're a spiritual entity, and I'll explain this in a second, you can do this by a factor of detachment. All right, so let's delve into this just a touch more. Descartes, I think, therefore I am. Studied this for quite a while, and it's fascinating. And the point that he was trying to make was that we live in a duality. And he was trying to prove or disprove whether we are from God, part of God, just a nothingness bouncing around the earth from when we are alive to when we die. Do we have a finite life and then we just go into the ground and we're dead, and then it's all black and nothing happens? Well, how we summarize this is the term I think, therefore I am. And that was his conclusion after a very long time of trying to look at, from many different ways, how we think. So that term is not, I think, therefore I am alive. That term is, I think, and because I can think about myself, because I can look at myself in a few different ways, because I can see my emotions and feelings objectively, because I can see who I am from another person's point of view, if I really want to think about it, it keeps coming back to I think. But who is this I? What is this I that he keeps talking about? Well, that brings up the conclusion that you must be a separate entity from your body. You must be something that exists within the body. So a soul or a spirit must exist. Now, if a soul or a spirit must exist, and we are not just a collection of bits and pieces of body parts that create this soul or spirit, because we can think about ourselves objectively, then we must have had an existence before this body, and we must have an existence after this body. Otherwise, what would be the point? There would be absolutely no point for us to be in existence at all, right? How you want to view that, you might say, I visited here from another solar system and I'm going back there. You might say that I'm part of the unfolding of the earth, and its health is directly relied upon us because we are a part of its entity. You can look at this in a lot of different ways. But it still boils down to the fact that because you can think about yourself, you exist in a separate entity, in a field, a spiritual, soul-based field, a realm, so to speak, right? Now, let's roll back into attachments. Does that mean that you are attached to parts of your past because of memories, because of guilt, because of shames? Like, what part of your past is so important that it has to ruin what you want to become in your future? What part of your past is so crucial to bring with you and carry around like a bag of rocks that it must stop you from progressing? Right? So what part of the negatives or the guilt that you've got in your life that has happened already is so crucial, you need to keep beating yourself up so that you're damaged more and more and more. And then, because of this default action, you damage other people in your future relationships. Don't you think that's really not what that intent was? Don't you think possibly that these things that happen either you've caused them or other people have caused them, are constant life lessons, right? If that's the case, every single day is a gift. It is a gift for you to look at, consider, summarize with this I think, therefore I am. And your attachment then becomes to the soul and the spirit. Once you recognize that you're attached to your soul and your spirit and not to these situations and scenarios as being positive or negatives, but rather just constant lessons, then you can start picturing how you view the world as this amazing unfolding of calamity, which in the process of watching this amazing unfolding, you get to constantly learn. It's like living in a library of emotion that is coming and going, right? So one of the key points that I'd like for you to take away from this is that being attached to things that weigh you down, things that are no good for you, things that no longer serve you, has no reason. There is no reason for it. So let it go. And by the action of letting it go, you're recognizing that this I think, therefore I am, is the one in control, not the world around you. The world around you is happening, is unfolding, is teaching you all these things, but this I that you are, this everlasting soul, is the most amazing thing. And it is sitting right in you right now, listening to this, thinking about it, going, yep, okay, that makes sense. You may be thinking, no, it doesn't. If that's the case, you probably shouldn't be listening. So, yeah. Okay, that's my point for this week. I did want to only make it quite brief, but you get the point. Think of Descartes' I think, therefore I am is not I think, therefore I must be alive. It is I think. And because I can see myself through the eyes of a thinker, I must exist externally as an entity, as a spirit, as a soul. This soul, entity, spirit that you are exists in this physical plane of existence, and everything that's happening around us is a constant lesson. It's gifts for us to take in, use as we will, but please don't hold on to, grasp and bring forward every single thing that's happened to you that's a negative, or the way that you view it as negative, as a pebble or a rock, because you're just throwing that bag around with more and more things dragging you down. Release it, let it go, because all these things that are negative and bad in your past are lessons if you look at them long and hard enough. And the more you can take something out of that, the more worth you're giving yourself, the more worth and value you're going to give to yourself in the future, and the more valuable as a human being you become to yourself and to others. Got it? Good. Enjoy this week. Take whatever you can from this, and I'll see you next week for a different theme moving forward. Thanks very much. Personal awareness may be the